break down the blue lines for us on the court and what they all mean?
So the big squares at the top are where we want to space opposite the ball. So we bring the ball up wide, and we call it the Houston spot. So if you kind of watch where James Harden brings the ball up here, they space that far wide on the floor. 4-point line's kind of self-explanatory. It's more of a spacing line. We don't want our guys, you kind of have steppers and huggers. We don't want our guys hugging the 3-point line. We want them stepping into the 3-point line on the catch. So if they're behind the 4-point line, they step into the 3-point line on the catch. The ones down here, the big one, we don't want the ball caught inside there for teams that post up a lot. So that's kind of we call it our low box, so we don't allow any catches in there on defense. The smaller ones underneath are where our bigs are supposed to get opposite the ball. We call that our dunker spot, so they're looking for drop-offs. We're not doing a very good job getting them there currently. And then the ones in the corners are where we sprint to the corners, we space to the corners to give us spacing. And then the kind of, I guess if you call it the 2-point line, inside the 3-point line, that's like a pack line where if your guy doesn't have the ball and you pack it in off your guy, we're going to try to load up and shrink the floor and not allow triple penetration by getting in there. So those are the lines on the floor, if that helps you out a little bit.
Thank you.
How much does doing that and the repetitive help with installing the new offense and kind of making it so it's intuitive? They don't really have to think, okay, this is where I need to stand. They know naturally to get there.
Yeah, I think it's important to show them visually where, especially a lot of guys come from high school where you run to the wing and stop. It's big that we get to the corners of space. And we're nowhere close to where we want to be. We keep trying to teach them and coach them, but it's all new, so it's not going to be perfect. And it's all different from practice to games, too. So we've been practicing that way, but different teams are going to guard it differently. The lights come on, there's a different pressure. You kind of revert back to what you're comfortable with when the games get going. So a lot of that stuff, we just have to keep teaching. A lot of video work, a lot of on the floor. The last 2 days, we didn't go live. We just did a lot of non-live 5-on-0 offense, 5-on the managers, GAs, scout team, walk-ons, playing defense, and a lot of skill stuff. But I think that helps them know where they're supposed to be on the floor. Beatles' status is he's getting a cast cut off Monday, meeting with the specialist Monday, and they're going to get a new x-ray. And based on what he looks like on Monday, we'll know whether he's going to be able to play this next week or not.
How much have you been able to watch of Carolina?
I've watched a little. I watched the Elon game 2 nights ago. I've watched, what they got, 5 games so far, 4 or 5 games this year. I've watched parts of 3 or 4 of them. I've only watched one full one. My staff's watched a bunch. They're usually working ahead. I'm going to get a bunch in this weekend. We got 3 more practices before we play them. So we're going to, I'll probably have watched every minute they play this year because they haven't played that many games yet. But, they're still figuring themselves out too. They've had some injuries, so I don't know if there'll be guys that come back for them that maybe haven't played yet either. So it'll be a little bit, got to figure some stuff out early in the year, kind of on the fly in the game sometimes too.
Is a guy like Cole Anthony someone that jumps off the screen though right away?
Well, yeah, everything runs through him. They try to punch in the post a lot, but anytime it breaks down, he gets the ball back and he's playing heavy minutes or heavy ball screen with him on, at the end of the shot clock. They don't get to the end of the shot clock much, but if they do, the ball finds his hands and they're playing through him a lot.
It's easy to say, it's him versus Kyra, but you really got to defend him.
No, it's true. You can't make it a one-on-one deal anyways because our team defensive concepts got to help. But Kyra will be matched on him. He will be matched on Kyra. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of NBA scouts watching. Those are 2 guys that a lot of NBA teams are looking at. So, but we're going to rotate some defenders on them. Plus, in our scheme, you're going to get switched sometimes anyways. And they're so good in transition. Kyra may have to pick somebody else up. Somebody else may have to pick him up. So Shaq, Petty, Herb, multiple guys are going to end up on him throughout the course of the game.
I know you didn't you weren't a part of scheduling this game or this tournament, but how much does that kind of help knowing the competition you're facing? You want to kind of play some tough, you've talked about before, you want to play some tough games, get exposed early. How much do these opportunities help?
Yeah, I think these games are big. I mean, I think you look at Carolina, you look at, whether it's Michigan or Iowa State or Gonzaga, Oregon, Seton Hall, like they're all quality teams. So, if you're going to try to compete in the SEC, you're going to have to beat teams comparable to these high-level teams here. So I think it's good to play them early, kind of get exposed on some stuff. Hopefully we can get some wins there and get some confidence that we can beat teams that are comparable to teams at the top of our league. And I mean, I like it. Maybe we shouldn't have scheduled quite as hard as we did outside of this tournament, but I do like getting in big tournaments like this. And I think next year they're in Maui, and that'll be a quality field. And I think every year we'd like to play in a quality tournament where they've got 8 high-level quality teams and you get 3 really good games.
Coach, outside of Cole Anthony, how important is it to shut off their more experienced players like Garrison Brooks and Elon?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you watch the Elon game, they, maybe they had that concept going in, and then all of a sudden you've got some freshmen that have great games and go off. Like I just think they're a good team with like 8 guys pretty heavy in the rotation, that they've got multiple guys that can then hurt you. So I don't think you can ignore any of them. You got to definitely pay attention to Cole, and you got to pay attention to their inside guys. And the shooting's not the number one thing that jumps off the board at you, but they've got guys that can shoot. I mean, the kid Christian Keeling's a grad transfer that made a ton of shots at Charleston Southern. Leaky Black can make shots. They got Pierce can make shots. So they've got, they got players out there. So Cole Anthony's jumps off the page, their post-up game, their offensive rebounding game, but then you can't ignore the shooters that are on the floor either.
Given the level of talent on North Carolina and some of these others, and the depth issues that you're dealing with, how do you kind of use this as a measuring stick at this point, but also maybe you temper some things, you kind of like not make it more than it needs to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Like, even with our pace, North Carolina plays fast, we play fast. We got 3 games in 3 days with a very limited rotation, especially if we don't get good news on Monday with Beetle. So we may have to slow it down. Ideally, we like to play fast, but like I said the other night, we're not trying to play fast and out of control. Like, we're trying to be the most efficient team we can be. If we have to slow some stuff down, and Kyra's playing really heavy minutes, probably try to get him a few more breaks throughout the course of the game to play these 3 games in 3 days. So I think Clark, our trainer, does an unbelievable job. He'll do everything he possibly can to make sure we're as fresh as we can be each one of the 3 days. But as a coach, you got to be smart with some of that stuff too. So yeah, we'll make some tweaks to some of our system and style as we kind of go through some of that stuff.
Let's do another 1 or 2 questions, guys.
You mentioned Kyra playing so many minutes, and you've talked about trying to limit some of that, but it gets to a point where, especially if he's the only point guard out there, that it's hard to do. So how do you balance that, wanting to help him, but also knowing you kind of need him out there to do what he does?
Yeah, I mean, we go through a kind of a rotation chart as a staff and figure out, how can we get him down to 34, 35, 36 minutes. And, I pulled him there in the first half and didn't sit him as long as I was supposed to sit him, and then never pulled him in the second half like I planned. I mean, the plan is to kind of get him out for a 2 to 3 minute stretch before, during, and then after the media timeout, so he gets a long break. Do the same thing in the second half, and it just, like you said, sometimes it's hard. You need him out there to handle the ball, and it would help him if he's more fresh. So we're going to try. I think we have to down there playing 3 games in 3 days. So other guys are going to have to handle it. We've been playing Shaq there a little bit. Herb's playing some point. If we can get Beetle healthy, Beetle. Some other guys are going to have to handle the ball for a couple 2 to 3 minute stretches for us, and we're going to have to do a good job with it so he can be a little bit more fresh late in the games.
Do you guys have anything planned outside of basketball while you're down there?
Yeah, you know what? We're going to go. There's like an orphanage or a child. I don't know if it's necessarily. I believe it is an orphanage where some of the kids that got misplaced in the hurricane, like that, got brought there. So we're going to go do that on I don't have the itinerary in front of me. Either Monday or Tuesday, we're going to kind of visit them for a short period of time. I believe it's Tuesday morning. We get there Monday afternoon, so we've gone back and forth whether we're going to go Monday afternoon or Tuesday. But we're going to go. We always try whenever. When we went to Ireland, we did some community service and we actually, my team at Buffalo has been to Ireland and some different places. You try to make it a little bit educational. It's not just go to a different country or somewhere else and not see the culture or reach out and do something. So we're going to try to do a little bit of community service, and then after that, though, when you got 3 games in 3 days, you kind of got to buckle down and get ready to play some games.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.